Welcome everybody here. And for Pledge of Allegiance, let's go with Ms. Herbers.
You found her back there. Okay.
I did. She was hiding, but I found her. No? No. You've been in front of a podium before.
You wouldn't want to do that way at the council meeting.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Torrance.
Thank you, Sue. If you haven't figured out, our relationship goes back years. I'd like to welcome a motion for adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have nothing to report out of close.
You have the principal who appointed.
Yes, yes. Sorry, I'm out of practice. All right. Starting with the principals, I will go to Dr. Crumpy, correct?
No, you're reading the bios.
I read the bios.
Yes, because you approved them in closed session.
Jeez, oh, Pete. All right. If I am reading the bios, the Board of Education in closed session voted unanimously to approve the following administrative appointments effective July 1, 2017. Catherine, or as we know her, Katie Schinkelberg, will be the elementary principal for Carr Elementary School. Congratulations. I'm sorry, I'm hung up on Catherine. Katie has served as an administrative assistant principal at Arnold Elementary School since July of 2016. She previously served as an assistant principal at Richardson Middle School from July 2013 through June 2016, and a science teacher at West High School from September 1998 to June of 2013. Her leadership experience includes instrumental in developing TUSD's next generation science standards, K-12 professional development implementation, the implementation plan in 2015, development of science professional development for grade 5 through high school teachers 2013 through 2017, the Mickelson ExxonMobil Teacher Academy 2014, Legislative Action Day in Sacramento 2015, cohort member of South Bay Middle School Administrators for Professional Learning and Collaboration 2013 through 15, served on district level committees including K through 12 Science Leadership Team 2014 through 2016, Association of Torrance School Administrators, ATSA, Program Scholarships 2014 through 2016, and Textbook Adoption Committees. She received her Bachelor of Science in Biology at California State University, Los Angeles in June of 1998, and her Master's in Education Administration at California State University, Dominguez Hills in 2005. We would all like to congratulate you, Catherine.
First, I just want to thank the board and Dr. Mannon, Dr. Kim, everybody. Thank you so much. I am so honored for this opportunity, and I'm very excited to meet the staff, the students, the parents, everybody, and be part of the CAR team. Thank you so much.
Next is Cynthia Leach, Assistant Principal at Hull Middle School. Hello? Cynthia has served as an interim assistant principal at Hull Middle School since November of 2016. She previously served as a grade 6 humanities teacher at Hull since September of 2010, grade 2 and 3 teacher at Arnold Elementary from September 2012 through June 2013, and grade 2 teacher at Walteria from September 22 to June 2010. Her leadership experience includes school site administrative designee, professional learning communities, at work coach, response to intervention, and intervention site coordinator, testing coordinator, school site council member / chair in 2010 through 2015. Leadership chairperson, math, science, and English steering committee member, student success team chair, TUSD aspiring administrator cohort member, mentor and master teacher, and autism spectrum and inclusion support Torrance team advisory committee member. Cynthia received her Master of Science in Curriculum and Instruction at the University of Southern California in 2002 and her Bachelor of Science in General Studies with Fine Arts emphasis at the University of Southern California in 2001. We'd like to congratulate Cynthia.
Just want to say thank you to the board and to everyone. This is an amazing opportunity, and I can't wait to continue the work that I've started with my fabulous Hull family. Thank you.
Congratulations. Mr. Scheck is absent. Do I have to read his? Just kidding. Just kidding.
He is receiving the Gold Ribbon Award.
Yes, he is, Mr. Scheck, and Mrs. Reagans is at the Gold Ribbon Award ceremony tonight. That's why they're not here. They're not off playing poker someplace. Chris Scheck is going to be the principal at North High School. Chris has served as a principal at Magruder Middle School since August of 2012. He previously served as a principal at Calimero Middle School from October 2006 through July 2012, and the assistant principal at South High School from August 2005 to October 2006. Some of his leadership experience includes the following. Serves as the director of academics/academic liaison and principal since 2008 for the Torrance Education Foundation summer program entitled the South Bay Enrichment Academy, created Association of School Administrators, Administrative Support and Mentor Program for TUSD K through 12, developed Site Summer School ELA and Math Literacy or Jumpstart program in 2013, served on district level committees including BITSA Leadership, Title I Leadership, Title III English Learner, Math Advisory Committee, ELL Benchmark Leadership Team, and Safety and Security Advisory Team. Chris has also been instrumental in the program coordinator for the Youth Development Program in Torrance, formerly the ExxonMobil Green Team, since 2005. We'd all like to congratulate Chris and absentee. And last but not least is Ms. Kara Henrich, who's going to be the principal at West High School. Kara has served as a principal at Jefferson Middle School since July of 2014. She previously served as principal at Jefferson Elementary School and Redondo Beach Unified School District since 2009, and in the Roland Unified School District in various positions from 1996 to 2009. She has served on several district committees, some of which include the District LCAP or LCAP Leadership Review and Revision Committee, Leading Edge Administrator Certified Innovation and Technology, California Assessment of Student Performance and Progress District Data Committee Team, Next Generation Science Standards Secondary Leadership Committee member, Center for Math and Science Teaching, or CMAS, Teacher Lead Network Secondary Leadership Representative for ATSA as a Vice President, Common Core Transition Leadership Committee and trainer, and served on CSEA and TTA district negotiation teams. Kara received her Bachelor of Science in Human Development at the University of California, Davis in 1995, her Master's of Education at Claremont Graduate University in 1999, and her Master's of Education in School Administration at the University of California, Los Angeles in 2005. We'd like to congratulate you, Kara.
Good evening, and thank you to the TUSD Board of Education, Dr. Mannon, and the wonderful cabinet. It's been a great privilege and honor to serve as principal at Jefferson Middle School, and I look forward to continuing on the west side at West High School with my West High family. So thank you for this privileged honor. Thank you.
All right. Also reporting out of the closed session, public employee discipline dismissal/release. The Board of Education at its meeting on May 15, 2017 in closed session voted to release certificated employee case number 05-16/17 and authorize the superintendent or his designee to provide notice on or before June 30th, 2017. The employee shall be released from the first-year probationary position at the conclusion of the 2016-2017 school year. The vote was all 4 ayes. The Board of Education, in its meeting on May 15, 2017, in closed session, voted to release certificated employee case number 06-16/17 and authorize the superintendent or his designee to provide notice on or before June 30th of 2017 that the employee shall be released from the first-year probationary position at the conclusion of the 2016-2017 school year, and the vote was all 4 ayes again. All righty. Needless to say, I'm out of practice on this, so bear with me. All right. Okay, we're moving on to staff presentation and information. From the formation of a real property advisory committee pursuant to California Education Code Section 17387 ETSEQ.
Thank you, Mr. President. In our audience, we have 2 attorneys from Andelson, Terry Tao, who's well-known to us, and Andreas Chialtis. And Andreas will be doing the presentation on this item tonight. Andreas.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Vice President Wormers and Board of Education and Cabinet, and of course, Dr. Mannon. Pleasure to be with you. I want to talk a little bit tonight about disposition of property, sort of a summary view, if you will, and the possible disposal of the Hamilton site, your adult education location. Walking through this a little bit, if you will, know that this type of discussion can sometimes be 30 minutes to 2 hours. I'm definitely not going to do that to you tonight. I'm going to keep it to about 15 minutes. And Terry Tao, as you know, is here in the audience as well. I just had my name up on that presentation because I was going to quickly get through it. We can get bogged down in the weeds on some of these things, but what's before you tonight later on in open session is a resolution that would have you convene an advisory committee. That advisory committee is really the first step in moving forward with disposition of property. So we thought it would be an advantageous time to come forward and talk a little bit about this overview. You'll see here with this slide really what we're going to go through, this possible goals and expectations. I always put this as slide 1 for any school board, just to keep in mind that you should be thinking in terms of what your goals are ultimately. You'll have an advisory committee looking at this property, making recommendations, but we want to make sure that ultimately the board's druthers are being met. Are you looking for top dollar? Are you looking for a timeline? All those sorts of things. We'll speak to that in just a moment. Process in general, I'm going to talk a little bit about what it is to sell this property. A waiver process, I'll walk through one slide, which is kind of an alternative, if you will, to a traditional sales scenario or lease scenario. Use of proceeds. Everybody always wants to know what can you do with the dollars that you would derive from a property, from an asset. Overview of the property in particular. This is your Hamilton property. And then just a potential timeline, give you a sense of that. Of course, that can change dramatically depending on where we head, but I can give you kind of a quick overview of what I think that might look like for you. Goals and expectations. I often hand out a 30-page summary to school boards, and everyone laughs and says, my gosh, that's 30 pages, and you call it a summary. There's a lot of law associated with disposition of property. Sale, lease, exchange, you name it, all kinds of things, and the government code, net code, is long. What we want to make sure is that we are going to follow essentially what the board wants to get accomplished. So I always keep in mind, what are your goals and expectations? Be thinking about that. Communicate that to Dr. Mannon, who can pass that information along. We can meet in open session, and when appropriate, and we're actually dealing with price in terms of payment issues, we can talk in closed session as well about these things. We're going to talk a little bit in the future as we proceed about any limitations on the property, its locations, its environmental issues, and the like. Use of revenue, I got a slide on that. We'll talk again about, dollars, but usually school boards want to right out of the gate know what they're going to do and how they can use those funds. So that's always important to keep in mind with your initial goals and expectations. Just political and community issues. What would the city say about this property? What would they like to be seen built? Same thing with community members, those that are right adjacent to it and others that are just interested throughout the community. And ultimately, it's effect. Your sale of property or lease of property, not having it available, that is, to you, does that affect your other locations, your programs at that site or your facilities throughout the district? process. To talk a little bit here about advisory committee, which is what you'd be accomplishing tonight if you take the resolution forward and approve it. You will convene a committee. I've got a slide on that in just one moment. I can speak to it a little bit. You're ultimately going to receive a report from that committee. You're going to pass a resolution that's going to do a number of things. I'll talk to that in just a quick moment. And then you're going to send out a whole host of public agency notices. These are notices to different public agencies that you've got this property available to them, and they have certain pecking order rights where they could come in and acquire the property. And then ultimately, the fun stuff. Assuming you get past the public notice stage and nobody is interested in the property, you will end up at an auction. Unless you choose a different avenue, you would be at an auction where I literally with a gavel can sit there and conduct an auction and see what your property can drive in terms of price. Your advisory committee, this is really the crux of what we're doing tonight in your resolution. You are to convene by law a 7 to 11 member advisory committee that is to look at the property, look at your projected student enrollment, get a sense of that, and ultimately make a recommendation to you. It's a Brown Act committee. This is a legislative extension of this governmental body, so it has to convene through the Brown Act with public notices and whatnot, and have to agendize meetings. Each of those committee members need to make sure they have no conflict of interest and aren't going to derive a benefit from the sale or lease of your property in particular. They're going to conduct at least one public hearing. They're going to have a minimum of 3 to 4 meetings where it's actually in open session, but one would actually be a noticed public hearing as well. And when they're done with their work, they're going to provide a recommendation in writing to you, a final report and recommendation that can say any number of things. 1, we've looked at it and we don't think you should do something with it. 2, we've looked at the property and we think you should sell that property or lease that property or both, and maybe even provide you with an order. But the idea is that they're going to give you a cross-section of the community by their 7 to 11 member makeup, if you will, of what the community has in mind for this property. This is made up of members that kind of are that cross-section. You've got parents, somebody who is a teacher, somebody who reflects the socioeconomic background of the district, somebody that has information and knowledge with regard to zoning and city business and the like. So you do have quite a cross-section when you move forward with it. The resolution that will be really the driving force in all of this is something that you will take up once you have a committee recommendation. So again, that committee recommendation is necessary. You don't have to follow the recommendation whole cloth. You can choose to do something different or tweak, if you will, what the committee provides to you. It is always at the board's discretion what you ultimately do with your property. But you do need the committee to take the necessary step of going through all of the information and work, and we'll be sure that they do good work. We've seen a lot of great committees with a lot of great energy come forward with good recommendations and reports. They're going to bring that to you, and rather than just saying thank you, we're going to say thank you and actually accept that by way of board resolution. That resolution is then, if you move forward, it's going to declare that property surplus. You're going to make a legal finding that it's not necessary, you don't need it for your present purpose, and that you could actually dispose of the property. That same resolution, all in one fell swoop, will give me the green light, my office the green light, to send out public agency notices. There's a whole host of notices, and I'll talk to that in just a quick moment, but you need to send those out by law to various agencies that get notice that you have the property and you're willing and able to sell and or lease. It's important to note that this resolution, and this isn't driven by law, this is driven by good practice and procedures over the years. You want to make sure that you've got your minimum deal terms for any deal that you would accept in that resolution. When you go forward to public agencies and you tell them that you have property, you don't want to say, we're looking for this value, and all of a sudden agencies come in and say, yeah, but we're way down here, a tenth or even a third of the value that you're looking for. We want to make sure that we set forth a good faith negotiation stance to say this is the amount of money we would receive, and on these terms we would receive for our property. And we're willing to sit down and negotiate with any agency on that front. But if it's too low, we'll simply move on to auction, and that agency can come forward at auction and always have a stake in the matter. But we don't want to spend a whole lot of time talking about really lowball offers that you would never entertain. So that's why we set the minimum points, if you will, in our agenda item. Addresses any other little thing that I need to put in there to keep things straight, like are you going to pay a broker or not? We need to know when we ultimately get bids and offers, compare apples to apples, not apples to oranges. If I have a price and there's a deduction coming from a broker commission, I need to know that. So we put those things in there. And I just wanted you to know that it does require a 2/3 vote of the board. We need a 2/3 vote of the board in order to do any sale and or lease of property by statute. Just to give you a sense of notices going out and sort of timelines, if you will, I will send out concurrent notices on 3 different levels, 3 plateaus, if you will, to various agencies. The top plateau being your city and county for use for park and recreation and whatnot. Also in that top rung would be low and affordable housing authorities. They're going to get some notices from us. Second, if you will, would be a fair market value, normal approach. Come, you don't have any rights to a cheaper price or whatnot, but you entities can come forward and pay us the price that we're looking for, and that is a whole plethora. That is the CSU system, the UC system, the state of California gets notice, you name it, they get it. So we send out a whole slew of notices that go out to agencies in this kind of middle rung, if you will. And then ultimately there's a third rung. It's all public benefit corporations, and even a notice that we put in the newspaper telling interested parties that they can come forward. If there's certain type of public benefit corp, they can come forward and actually have a pecking order and buy property before you get to auction. So these agencies, notices if you will, these notices are there to allow those entities to come forward and negotiate with you for a period of time before you get to auction. The idea being they shouldn't have to be at an auction, they should have a pecking order right by statute because they have an interest in their quote-unquote sister agency or whatever you'd like to think of them. They have generally, depending on who they are, but generally speaking, 60 days to receive our notice and let us know in writing that they're interested. If they are interested, generally speaking, they have a 90-day period of time where you have to negotiate in good faith. So this period of time alone can be up to 150 days. So it's 5 months of getting it right, getting agencies knowledge that you have this property and it's on the market, or going to be on the market, and you see what you can do to negotiate a deal. Again, good faith negotiations are a must under the statute, but you don't have to go below what you're willing to take. And that's why we set those minimum points by way of resolution. So you can say, with all due respect, thank you agency for your interest. It's just such a low offer, we're going to move on to bid. Good faith means when you get to bid, you can't offer it really, really low. You got to offer it like you were to those agencies. So it's not real rocket science. We get you through it, certainly, but there's been some really great deals that stop right there at this agency level where 2 agencies get together and we can certainly hammer out a really nice deal for all parties concerned and to the benefit of all. More likely than not, agencies will pass on the property, on the opportunity, and you'll end up at auction. That's the next step, bid hearing, also known as an auction. This is literally what you think of when you think of an auction. Somebody with a gavel sitting there. I give 5 to 10 minutes of ground rules, if you will, to explain how it's going to occur. Prior to this auction, we will have sent out a bid package of materials that even has, if it's a sale, a purchase and sale agreement, or if it's a lease, a ground lease agreement, or multiple documents to say, here's the offer. Here's what the district's willing to take for the property. Minimum price and all these terms. That goes out for a period of time. We give people an opportunity to look at that, and then ultimately we will conduct this auction where we are literally open bids and envelopes that are sealed, read them out loud, declare what the price is, if you will, and explain if there's any bells and whistles associated with them. Typically, you're going to receive, if we do everything the right way and get you to a good document that we put out into the fray, that we put out into the market, we're going to have a response from somebody that says, you know what? We can hit that minimum price you're looking for or better and make no changes to your document. Okay, that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping to open up a bid and say, yeah, we've got a nice, strong, conforming offer. Easy that way. I then, after opening all of those, get to call for oral bids, which can be kind of exciting and fun for everybody in the room. The first oral bid has to be 5% higher than the highest written bid, and often we get that, and it's off from there. The last long process that I conducted, maybe an hour and 15 minutes long of a bid hearing, had 4 written bids, 4 oral bidders that came forward, and 81 different ping-pongs back and forth of those 4 oral bidders for an hour and 15 minutes. And we watched the price go to from 16 million to 22.65. So just back and forth throughout, calling for oral bids, calling for an auction scenario like you'd see on TV or otherwise. And it can be really exciting and fun for all. The goal, of course, is to make sure that every bidder has an opportunity to leave their best offer to the board. to give you what it is that you're looking for. What can they provide to you that still pencils out for them so they can make a good, project out of this property, but something that you all can take. So we don't rush anything. We make sure we know what these entities can offer, and we go from there. If you have a clear high bidder, whoever the high is, you can stop right there. At some point, we would be in closed session and later open session, and often boards can say it's a clear no-brainer. We have had a bunch of offers. They were no changes to the agreement we put forward, just a bunch of prices, and we're going to take the high. By law, you either take that high or reject them all. You can always do nothing, but you take that high, and that's nice and easy. Sometimes, however, you get counteroffers. This is where you don't receive an offer that doesn't make changes to what we put out there into the world. The purchase and sale agreement or lease agreement, for example. Say we are selling the property and we have a purchase and sale agreement and we put out a price and we put out all the terms in the agreement. And somebody comes forward and says, yeah, I'll give you that minimum price or even higher, that minimum price. But I'm going to change a bunch of the terms in your purchase and sale agreement. That now is a counteroffer. Okay. That isn't a true offer because you can't really value all the changes they're making to the terms. We don't get to look at those if you have a true high offer. But in some circumstances, you only receive 3 or 4 or 5 counter offers. You don't receive somebody that says, I won't change the terms, and here's my price. Rather, 3 or 4 entities will say, yeah, we like the property, but we're going to tweak and change the agreement some. In that scenario, you get to pick and choose among them. So it could be a lot of fun the day of a bid hearing and the board meeting that would ensue afterwards, and we can talk through what you receive, and we go from there. But that is essentially an auction process like you'd be thinking of, hearing from everybody in the room and trying to make sure you understand what they're offering and going forward with hopefully a good return for your property. The last note here, I'll make it quick, is a waiver process. Everything I just explained is the traditional surplus property rules. That's how you would conduct a bid and go through the whole process. You can also seek a waiver. The State Board of Education can grant you a waiver of these surplus property procedures that I just explained. Literally, even sending some of the notices, most of the notices, that top echelon of notice for open space from cities and counties, you can even waive that. What you can't waive is the second plateau of notices and how you use your property funds, your proceeds. You can't waive that. The rules applying to what you do with the money stick no matter what we do. But other than that, you can waive surplus property procedures, and some school districts have chosen to do that. They have found, in some scenarios, we've done this throughout the state, that depending on the property, it's really hard to put your thumb on the exact terms, and you know you're going to be in a counter-offer scenario. That's why I was explaining that counter-offer. You know you're going to get kind of a mishmash or mix of things from different entities. You can do a waiver where rather than doing an auction, you send out a request for proposals, receive a bunch of proposals back, open and declare those and explain that to the board. In fact, open them beforehand. Call those individual entities, make sure you understand what it is they're proposing, because rather than 50 pages of purchase agreement, you might have 2 or 3 pages of their proposal. I provide a spreadsheet and say, here are a number of different proposals we received. We've done our homework. We've spoken with these entities, and here's how we think we rank them, if you will. There, you get to choose the one that's most beneficial. It's not necessarily the highest. It could be any number of factors. Known entities, their wherewithal financially, the product mix that they're trying to bring to the table, what they're building, that is, and you can pick and choose the most beneficial. So we have seen real great success with this waiver process. We like it a lot if you're getting into a ground lease scenario. With the sale scenario, I still favor a bid auction because it is more competitive. And with waiver, even though we do it right and do your homework and really take it slowly and get it right, you can see at auction, rather than waiver, at the auction traditional sense, more competitive nature. And that whole oral bidding that I was explaining to you before kind of has its own fervor at times, its own, momentum. And I could tell you in that one offer that one deal I talked about, a $16 million starting and a 22.625 endpoint, there's $6 million and change there. And I don't know that we would have received all that $6 million and change through just the waiver process. I liked that we had conducted a bid for that one, and it worked well. What I've seen a lot of lately, and I've recommended to a number of clients lately, is run these in concurrent paths. Go forward with your advisory committee, go forward with your notices, go ahead and look to go to auction. Have that competitive spirit at auction. But if you don't want to end up at auction and perhaps it doesn't go as well as you like and you reject the bids because you didn't like your price, or you just didn't get an offer that made sense because the terms were different or what have you, you could still have a waiver in your back pocket. Waiver is very cheap, very simple process. It just takes you 5 months or so to go through it. So you can run these paths concurrently, go to auction, knowing that you're processing through the State Board of Education a waiver. That, to me, is sound, because once you get to auction, you could, of course, always go back to bid, and we've seen some great success with clients that tweaked their package, their bid package, went out to bid a second time and saw success. But other times, we've said, you know what, we'll go through a waiver, and we'll do the sit-down, arm's-length negotiation rather than an auction. So we can talk more about that certainly in the future, but just know that that's available to you. To make it available, we make sure your advisory committee checks a box saying that they're fine with doing a waiver if you go that far. And the only other steps you really would need to take would be to check with your collective bargaining units. Again, check the box. They can decline or agree that they like the idea, but either way, we just check the box. You conduct a public hearing, nice and simple. Hear from the public if anybody has an opinion about it, and then ultimately you do an online application. Okay? The waiver office does require you to do this RFP. They've made that up. It's not in the law. They've made it up. They also like for you to do an auction first, but it's not a mandate. We've done scenarios where you don't do an auction first and you go ahead and you get a waiver. They try to get you to do an auction first. Again, not in the law, just the waiver office sort of overlaying their own sort of unofficial or unofficial requirements. That's what we're calling them. Okay? Interesting stuff worth thinking about. Use of proceeds, this is really the nitty-gritty. What can you do with dollars? If you're selling your property, you can use the dollars you derive from that sale for capital outlay expenditures. It's brick and mortar, stays brick and mortar, think of it that way. Or any maintenance that won't reoccur within a 5-year period. It's a big ticket item. Okay? With lease, different. With lease, it's not restricted. You can put those into your general fund or delegate, direct them wherever you want by way of board resolution. The State Allocation Board and the Office of Public School Construction over the years have actually said that if this is a lease of, first they said 1 year, later 5 years or more, you're supposed to have it be restricted. I can tell you that's not what the law says. The law says you can put it where you want to put it by way of board resolution. And if you take no action, it stays in your general fund. So 2 different ideas there, sale and lease. We're going to talk a little bit more about the 2 different things there in just 1 second. Overview of the property in general. Again, very high look on this, very general overview. This would be something your committee would look further in terms of the details. You've got your adult school education center there. It's approximately 10.265 acres. It's currently zoned for public use. So we're looking at open space, recreation, landfill, and that's basically it. In order to derive a real price, a real good dollar, if you will, a return for this property, it would need to be zoned differently. So either the district or a developer would have to go through a zone change for this property. Multifamily residential would be the zoning designation. If you can obtain it, that would give you the best value. That would be more units per acre, and you would get a strong return for these 10.265 acres. It could be a mix. You could see multifamily with single-family residential. You can do some commercial, industrial mixed. But again, anyone looking at this, any appraiser or anyone in the industry would say, yeah, if you can get multifamily on that property, that would be the highest and best use. Ultimately, it's often a mix of some sorts, like we mentioned. You're going to need some time to accomplish all of this. Some districts, but rarely, will actually go through the zone process themselves. It's expensive. It's costly, and it's not what you're in the business of doing, so of course you have to have consultants come in and walk you through it. It can be done. The idea is you would take the speculation out of it by getting the property upzoned to whatever it is, multifamily, single-family, mixed, etc. You would take the guesswork out of it, and then take that now upzoned, the changed zoned property to the market, and developers would come in and pay handsomely for it because you've done that work. There are some risks. There are some districts that have done it. I know of one that did it and thought they knew what the city and what the district thought would ultimately be what the development community would want to see. Got to auction, and the development community said, with all due respect, we would have asked for something different. We would have processed a different entitlement package through the city. So there is some risk that you spend time and money and energy, but ultimately miss the market, because its market's a changing thing. Right now it's hot, but you never know if things could decline, and if you don't time it just right, you could ultimately have zoned something that needed to be changed a little bit. And that's going to create a situation where a developer who's interested in your property would still have to go back through a planning commission and city council approval process and take time and energy to do that. It's also very costly for the district to do it on your own dime. It's the California Environmental Quality Act and the whole zone change itself, not to be trifled with in terms of dollars, but it's possible. And you, if you did it, could certainly take that speculation, like I said, out of the property. What is more typical is where a developer will actually move forward with the package. To do that, you just need to make sure you allow for time. That bid package of materials, if you recall, that I talked about, that you go to auction with, that's your purchase and sale agreement and all things, all the bells and whistles and terms in there. You need to make sure that that document allows for time. Doesn't just say you'll close escrow in 9 months. It says you've got 18 months or 15 months to developer, go forward, get what you need in terms of zoning and entitlement package through the city, and it even allows for some extensions of time if certain conditions have not been met. They pay you deposit money. Some of that money will be non-refundable, so you get to keep it. Got some stories from back in the day where we have districts that sold, say, 2 properties in one city, 2 properties in another. 2 were easy, 2 not so easy, and you end up with $1 million of non-refundable money that you keep because of your time and your trouble, but you still then, of course, have to go back to the drawing board and still try to get it sold. Our goal is in turn try to get you some non-refundable deposit money. Our goal is trying to get you into escrow and at some point to close escrow. But I'm not going to stand up here and tell you it's easy in the sense of time. You do need to allow developers the time to change the zoning. Because if not, if you just said, hey, it is an as-is sale, they're going to give you a small fraction of what this property ultimately would be worth. Because right now, it's just for open space, and that's not where the value is. So you got to give them the time to get through a process and move the ball forward. Possible timeline from today, if you will, from a starting point, you have to form the advisory committee. This is the kind of best-case scenario, 2 slides right here. 2 months approximately for the committee to meet, upwards of 3, maybe 4 times. Some want more, and we're flexible in that regard. But by law, you're going to have to be 3 or 4 times to get what you need done. That's a couple months right there. Then, of course, we're going to take that resolution to you we talked about, where you accept the committee recommendation. You declare the property surplus and send out notices and give us the green light and whatnot. Then, of course, those notices themselves, I told you it could be up to 150 days. Sometimes after 60 days, we realize the agency said, no, thank you. Nobody has any interest in it, and you're done. But it just takes one entity to say, no, I actually do want to talk, and now you're sitting down for upwards of another 90 days. So it could be a 5-month process right there. We send out a bid package of information. That's approximately 6 weeks, maybe 2 months that it's out on the street, depending on the complexity. And then we conduct our bid, our auction. Total timeline there, you're looking at upwards of 9 months, hopefully closer to 6, but 9 months, because it just takes one of those line items to kind of trail a little, 9 months or so to get you from today to an actual auction. Then, of course, you're going to have to deal with that entitlement issue. Once you get done with that auction, you're going to get into escrow for 9 months from now. In a perfect world, I'd have you into escrow, and then you're going to have maybe 18 months or so where a developer's going to be working through the whole city process to get this property entitled and whatnot. We have a couple of things that we do on our end. You actually do California Environmental Quality Act, notice of exemption. We don't have to get into the details here. There's a couple things we will do that the developer won't be doing on our end, regardless of what they do for zoning. We will do that concurrently. Our goal would be to not slow down this process at all, just have things coming to you in real time and handle those all at the same time. Same thing with that waiver. If you wanted to kind of have that in your back pocket to know that you could go down the waiver road with a request for proposal, if and when a bid doesn't produce what you want, we would do that concurrently. So this timeline wouldn't now add on another 5 months. We would simply start this after your advisory committee and go from there. So that is a very high-level kind of moving through the paces, surplus and property procedure summary. Do you have any questions at all? You do have an advisory committee resolution before you. All that does is give the green light to Dr. Mannon to select and bring back to you for ratification the members, the 7 to 11 members of that committee. We do that by way of resolution.
Okay, any questions? Andreas, thank you, first off.
Thank you.
Any of my colleagues up here with any questions? a lot of people, I'm sure, are thinking, my God, that was dry and boring, but it's very, very, very important. I've been up here for about 8 years. We've never done anything close to this, so it's good that we cover all the bases. So, Andreas, again, thank you.
Pleasure, thank you.
All right. Moving on to a report from the Torrance from the Torrance High Centennial Committee, the Centennial Update. Mr. Gerges, I guess. Trying to figure out who to call on here. There's a whole bunch of people. I see a whole group of faces that are part of the
call them up in a
committee,
second. So, Board of Education, Dr. Mann, and Superintendent Cabinet, thanks for having us here tonight. It's an exciting time for our school and our community as we're forging ahead, and our 100th birthday is coming up very quickly. We had an opportunity to talk to this body a few months ago. Our Centennial Committee is working extremely hard in preparation for this big, huge, historic event. So we have some updates we would like to share with you. So I'd like to bring up two of our committee members, Mr. Nathan Jones and Mrs. Karen Gebhardt. Thank you.
T-shirts now, that looks nice.
Okay, hi, everybody. Hi. Well, many of you were with us when we kicked off our centennial in January at the 100th birthday of Louis Zamperini, our most famous alumnus. Now we have, since that time, had art contests at the feeder middle schools and elementary schools, and we'll be announcing the winners for that shortly. But we're here tonight to tell you about some of the events that will be coming up in the near future. The plans for our big centennial weekend are coming along very well. The date for that is September 8th through the 11th, so be sure and mark your calendars. We will start off on Friday night with a home football game where we will be recognizing those past football players, coaches, pep squad members, band, drill team, and color guard that are in attendance, as well as giving out a centennial souvenir to all of the home team attendees. Saturday will be our Tartar Family Reunion open house from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. During that time, we will have historical displays throughout the campus, highlighting changes over the decades of the academic focus, sports programs, school rallies and clubs, theatrical and video productions, architectural changes, fashion, band and choir programs, spirit programs, faculty and administrators, which you will have opportunities to meet with some of your old teachers, both new and old retired teachers.
I was told to say former teacher.
Former teachers, I'm sorry. Former teachers. Thank you, Mr. Lee. A tribute to the famous Tartars, and also Tartars who have made significant contributions to their communities, and many, many more exciting things to see. The Torrance High School Alumni Association's art collection will be on display, and we will also have a car show. There'll be a gathering area behind the annex cafeteria. That's the C building to you younger generations. And to relax and catch up with friends, and we'll have food trucks, games for the kids. DJ Ozzy will be there, plus we'll have some surprise musical appearances. This event is free to everyone, so please come out and join us for that. On Monday, Monday, September 11th, is the official rededication of Torrance High School, and this will be an invitation-only event for the students of Torrance High School. It's primarily for the students of Torrance High School, and we'll have some invited guests for that. It will be rededicating the newly renovated campus on the actual 100th anniversary of the opening of the school. And the Centennial Committee is very grateful for Balfour Beatty's support in helping us to make this a very memorable event for our students. Now, the breaking news is that the Centennial Committee is excited to officially announce that we have just added a major event for Saturday night, September 9th. Grammy-winning former singer-writer of the legendary rock Ambrosia, David Pack of the class of 1970, will reunite with his former Symbols of Time bandmate, Fred Beto, for a Torrance High School centennial concert. on Saturday night, September 9th at 7 p.m. in the Torrance High School Auditorium. PAC, Beto, and their Beto Band Supergroup are performing together in a once-in-a-lifetime concert to support the Torrance High Centennial. The show will include David Pack singing several of his #1 Ambrosia hits, including Biggest Part of Me, You're the Only Woman, How Much I Feel, and others, as well as songs from the Beto Band's recent album. There will also be a mini tribute to their original Torrance High School band, The Symbols of Time, featuring the original lead singer, Tom Crozier. The Symbols of Time, for those of you who don't know, was a Torrance High School's rock and soul horn band who won the 1968 United States Battle of the Bands in Atlantic City, New Jersey, representing California, and became an iconic local band for many alumni in the late 1960s and the 1970s. Tickets are now on sale and may only be purchased through the Centennial website at www.torrancehighcentennial.com. Early bird tickets are $25 apiece through May 31st. Ticket prices will increase on June 1st, so hurry and buy yours now, as this is a one-night-only event and you don't want to miss it. We just want to remind everybody to register on our website for continuing updates. We are also planning a special Centennial Homecoming celebration on October 6th, an alumni theater review on November 17th and 18th, and more fun things to come next spring. Also, don't forget to purchase your commemorative bricks for our Centennial Pathway, and you can find information on how to purchase those on our website as well. If you'd like to volunteer for the Saturday, September 9th Charter Family Reunion, there will soon be information on how you can register to be a volunteer for us for that day, and all help is greatly appreciated. Additionally, the graduates of the class of 2017 and 2018 will receive a commemorative pin in honor of this year of celebration. T-shirts will soon and sweatshirts will soon be on sale. Gail Morgan can model for us, and those will be on sale very soon. So again, you can find information on our website. So in closing, I'd like to introduce the other committee members who are here tonight. You've met Nathan Jones, committee co-chair, and the Torrance High School ASB director, teacher, volleyball coach, and alumnus. Sue Herbers, former Torrance High School parent and PTA president and retired Torrance clerk. Debbie Hayes, current Torrance High parent and PTA member and alumnus. Gail Morgan, president of the Torrance High School Alumni Association and alumnus. Lori Spradling, Torrance High School history teacher and alumnus. Sharon Jones, Torrance High parent and alumnus. Ann Strong, Torrance High parent and alumnus. Jerry Ronan, retired Torrance High School counselor. Wow. So, we thank you for your time, and if anybody has any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you. 100 years is a big deal. Now moving on to the Torrance Education Foundation, Susan Swider.
Good evening, everybody. It's all about summer school at Torrance Education Foundation these days. I'm happy to tell you that we have begun to contract teachers, and for those who might not know, we lay out at the beginning in our catalog all the classes that we know we want to teach, and then as they fill up, we contract with our teachers. So in case a class doesn't fill up, we haven't contracted someone for whom there's no students to teach. So we've already got 10 high school teachers started. The classes that are filling are Algebra 2, Geometry, English, World History, U.S. History, Economics and Government, and then we also have separately online classes in Health and English that are also filling up. Our kindergarten through 5th grade classes are also filling, and middle school is a little bit more complicated because there are 4 periods, and the teachers teach 3 to 4 classes, and they take a little bit longer to figure out. But we're working toward that as well. So Enrollment is open, and the enrollments are coming in strong. As of today, we have started advertising the GATE program, which is by invitation from each school. Students can be invited to participate in GATE, and that, I understand, the invitation to students will be coming out from the district very shortly. And as soon as that takes place, then families can begin to enroll in the GATE program. We also have this year launched for the first time an afternoon program as a pilot, and we're accepting enrollments in our afternoon middle school program, which will run for the 4 weeks of July. And each week has a separate theme. The first week's theme is Hunger Games. The second week is Olympics. The third week is Survivor. And the fourth week is SBEA Games, which is about collaboration and team building after the kids have gone through the prior 3 weeks. So we're trying to make it fun. It's more focused on activity and physical fitness and collaboration and partnering and working together in groups. So it should be a fun afternoon, month of afternoons for students in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. The other new news is that we have elected 2 new board members to Torrance Education Foundation's board who will join us starting in June. The first is Pete Mladina. He is a parent at, I believe his kids are at Richardson. In fact, I think one is still in elementary school at Riviera, and the other is at Richardson. And he'll be joining us. He's a financial analyst and department head at Northern Trust Bank. And the other one is Betty Lou, who's been known to many of us forever. She co-founded the math competitions, middle school math competitions, and as I think everyone knows, has been the consummate volunteer for many, many years, and is the wife of our Congressman, Ted Lieu. So we're happy to have both of them join our board, and we'll be looking forward to inviting them to join us for our activities for next year. Any questions I can answer?
So 4 weeks of getting those bratty middle school kids out of the house.
There you go. I wasn't going to use those words, but thank you, Mr. Wormers.
I have one of those, so I can say that.
They don't get any better.
Okay, thank you very much.
Moving on to a report from the Torrance Council of PTAs. Michelle?
Hello, Vice President Wormers, Board, Dr. Mannon, and Cabinet. There's been some good things happening with Torrance Council of PTAs, so I have just a little bit of bragging to do. We were able to give out 9 scholarships to our high schools, 2 to each high school and 1 to Sherry High. We try to do that every year, and I believe they were around $650 each, so that's great. And then on top of each of the feeder elementary schools and middle schools into those high schools, so there's opportunities for seniors to get quite a lot of money from PTA, just being a PTA member, so I cannot reiterate enough. Seniors, become PTA members next year. If you're a junior this year and you're going to be a senior next year, become a PTA member. You have an opportunity to get a lot of scholarship money. We are very proud. Alicia Allen, for those of you that don't know, she is an amazing, amazing membership chair for Torrance Council of PTAs. And the 33rd District has a contest that Torrance hasn't won in about 30 years. And I put it to her to bring it back, and we brought it back. So we have the wonderful trophy for 33rd District. We've been kind of obnoxious about it, but we're very proud, very, very proud. And so I was kicking myself because I didn't bring the trophy, but it's about this big, so.
Oh, very good.
We're very pleased about that, and the target is now on our backs. We've got Redondo, we've got Palos Verdes, and then also always nipping at our heels, or we're usually nipping at their heels, is Long Beach. Right. So it makes a good competition, and but we were able to increase our membership this year, and we haven't done that for a while, so that's very encouraging as well. So we're getting the information out there on what PTA does globally, what the big picture is, because a lot of times we're very focused on what's going on at our school sites, and when you come back from convention, which we will talk about that a little bit, when you come back from convention and you see what PTA does as a whole, it just really gets you excited, and that's what the membership is. We're a membership organization, a leadership organization, and an advocacy organization, and you can't advocate if you don't have that membership behind those people. So please join PTA. We are very excited. Spring brunch is coming up. That is when we pat ourselves on the back and give out all the scholarship money and just fellowship together. And it will be my last meeting as Torrance Council PTA's president. We will be installing the new board, and we will have a new president then after that. So we're getting to the close of my tenure as PTA president, and I've learned a lot, and it's been a great run. I'd like to introduce Denise Spellman, who was our convention chair, and she'll just do a short little comment on convention.
Good evening. This is my very first Board of Education meeting, and my report's very short, 3-sentence, so be very quick. On April 28th through April 30th, we had 14 voting delegates from Torrance attending the California State PTA Convention in San Jose, California. The delegates spent 84 hours in workshops and professional development. And by us attending these conventions and these workshops, it does allow us to work jointly with our educators as well as our community leaders, so that way we can find ways to best serve the students and the families in our community. So thank you very much, and that's it.
Does anybody have any questions? Nope. Okay, thank
Just
you.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Moving on to the report by our student representative, and apparently this is your last meeting because I've got a little black folder for you, so. And remarkably enough, I always chuckle whenever we say this, you get to keep your name tag, your little thing there. I'm not sure what you're going to do with it, beat your little brother over the head with it or whatever, but you get to keep that. This is a photo op?
Okay. Hi, I'm Rachel Hayashi. I'm the student body president for South High School, and I'll just report really quick on what we've been doing and what we're going to do in the next few months. On May 25th to June 2nd, we're going to have our scholar quiz, which I explained in the previous meeting that I attended, which is kind of like a trivia where there's going to be teams of students competing against each other and just trivia questions to see who has the best knowledge about random subjects like science or pop culture. So right now, we're working on making the questions, getting the team signed up, and we're talking to the teachers about participating in the faculty trivia team. So at the end of the student tournament, then the winning student team will compete against the faculty trivia team and see if the students could beat the faculty. So then after that, on May 24th, we're going to have our Spartan Laurels, which I also explained before, which is where our students are recognized for their academic achievements and scholarships are given out. And so ASB will be helping set up the Spartan Laurels. And also on the same day, we're going to have our Wear Your College Gear Day for the seniors, because the National Commitment Day was actually the first day of our APs, so no one really was in a high spirit during that time. So we decided to do it on an academic day already, which is Spartan Laurel. So we're going to be doing it at lunch for the seniors. And we thought we should do it this year because it wasn't done previous years, but it's one last event that's before graduation. That's kind of like a seniors only event. Then on June 9th, we're going to have our last class competition, number 3, and we already thought of our games, and now we just need to test everything and recognize DJ Dewey and our student speaker who comes out to every single game, sports game, dance show. He's our student announcer, and his name's Daniel Tom, so we're thinking of ways to recognize them publicly at South High. Also, this week on Friday, we are going to be recognizing our student athletes who are going to go to college to play sports. And ASB is currently making posters with the logos of their college they will be attending. And we're planning on having it on the stage in the mall during lunch so they could be publicly recognized. Lastly, ASB will be working on their binders for next year's elected ASB, which is basically where we write all our events and how to carry out our positions in a binder and give it to the next year's elected people, so they have guidelines to follow and they know what they're doing next year when we leave. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah.
Very good. And this is the last week of block scheduling, correct?
Yeah.
Thank God. Politicians like photos, I understand. Here you go. Thank you. Certainly.
Thank you.
Certainly. Congratulations. We're now going to move into the good news student presentations, and then we'll take a short recess, because I get a feeling that a bunch of people here want to say congratulations to our principals. So bear with us. We're going to do this feel-good presentation, then we'll have the opportunity for people to speak. So, Dr. Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Wormers. It's my pleasure to introduce two of our student leaders from two of our great elementary schools. Let's start with Edison Elementary. Brent Elmore, can you please come on up? Let's give him a round of applause. Joining Brent tonight is the principal of Edison Elementary, Mrs. Okazaki. Brent, please tell us what's happening at your school.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Mannon, and the cabinet. My name is Brent Elmore, and I am the 5th grade student body president of Edison Elementary School. I would like to share some of the special and unique things about my school. When I arrived at Edison 3 years ago, I did not know anyone. I was very happy that my 3rd grade teacher enrolled me in Friendship Club. This is a club that meets during lunch where you can meet new friends. Since my new principal, Ms. Okazaki, arrived, we have started many clubs during lunch, like the Trash Busters, Basketball Noon League, the Garden Club, Arts and Craft, Science, and Board Game Club. Also this year we started Student Council and had a Team Kid Challenge program that fostered leadership in all students. The leadership students organized a carnival and we raised $980 to help find a cure for cancer. At Edison, you get a Keep It Real slip when we show things like respect, E for empathy, A for awareness, and L for learning. We then enter into a raffle to win a variety of prizes to choose from. Edison is the first elementary school to get a science lab installed. It is dedicated to exploration of hands-on science. Multicultural Week is another highlight at Edison. Students learn about different backgrounds, histories, and cultures. My school has many family programs to offer our community, from family picnic, fall festivals, and family fun nights, family movie nights, and father-daughter dances, to name a few. Edison Elementary School has all these activities to help their students thrive in all subjects, interests, and needs. Thank you for allowing me to speak with you this evening about my school.
Good job.
Thank you very much, Brent. Our next student is from Lincoln Elementary School, Lauren Araki. Can you please come on up? Let's give her a round of applause. And tonight, Lauren is joined by her principal, Mrs. Castleberry. Please tell us what's happening at your school.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Board of Education, Dr. Mannon, and the Cabinet.
My name is Lorna Dake, and I have the pleasure of telling you about the wonderful things that are happening at Lincoln. I have been a Lincoln Lion since preschool, and I am currently in the 5th grade, and honestly, I have mixed emotions. Part of me is excited to leave and go off to middle school, but the other part of me wants to stay at a Lincoln Lion forever because it is such an awesome school. I think one of the things that makes us so awesome is that it is such a welcoming school. When you walk down the halls, you get a friendly smile by everyone, even people you do not know. I think the students here feel comfortable and safe. They know they are cared for and encouraged to be themselves and be the best person they can be. If I had to say one thing I have learned at Lincoln, it would be about giving back and helping others. I have been a part of a school service group called the Leadership Lions for the past 2 years, and our primary purpose is to serve the school. We do things like run the Character Counts program, which teaches the students about the 6 pillars of character and recognizes students weekly and monthly who are showing those traits. We help our custodian by keeping the school campus clean and support the office staff by running errands and giving tours during kindergarten roundup. We have workers in the cafeteria who help with service of the daily lunch crowd, and we also help the kindergarten teachers monitor the kids in the yard. We are in charge of recycling materials from each classroom and help with the monthly no citation activities, which include game day, reading day, bubble day, kite day, and so much more. One thing I absolutely loved this year was dressing up as the Cat in the Hat and reading to the younger kids. As a 5th grader, we have our kindergarten buddies and help them every other Friday with reading and crafts. At Lincoln, we have such a friendly culture and do a lot to help the community. We have had toy drives, canned food drives, shoe drives, collected art supplies for kids that are in the hospital, and we are currently doing a coin drive for the shelter dogs and veterans during Heroes Week, which is this week. We also do a lot of fun things at Lincoln, too. I especially love it when Mrs. Castleberry has us do spontaneous dance parties during our spirit assembly. I feel like the things we do at Lincoln make us better people and bond us like a Lincoln family. When I think of Lincoln, I think of it as our second home because teachers are there for us and Mrs. Castleberry is our fun, outgoing leader or second parent. I feel very lucky to be a Lincoln Lion where we live by our motto, which is to be safe, be respectful, and be responsible.
You're shy and quiet like Mrs. Castleberry. I'd like to take a small moment. Mr. Lee was explaining to me there are people here that want to say congratulations to some of our new principals, so I'd like to take a small moment and a break to do that. I know the mayor's in the back of the room someplace, or he was. Oh, he left? Oh, I'm sorry to see that. Is there anyone who wishes for a photo op or an opportunity to pose with a new principal? Mrs. Schinkelberg has her family here. Then leave.
Okay.
And I'm
Good deed goes unpunished.
I'm batting 0 for 0 here. Okay, well, I do. All right, this is a great opportunity for everyone to make a race for the door if you want to. This is your chance.
Okay. Aww.
We will at the end. We will at the end. We'll only go about another hour.
Dr. Crumpy can probably sign that for you.
Dr. Crumpy will help you. You can sign it now. The door. Go for the door. Go for the door. Go for the door.
Just like I have a notion to
I'm about to. Don't make me get out the hammer.
Oh, not the hammer.
There it is.
Right there.
All right.
Option right here. I hate this thing.
Okay, moving on to the public hearing portion of our meeting. I am going to the initial proposals between the Torrance Unified School District and CSEA 845, Chapter 19, and recommendation to adopt the district's initial proposal. Do I need a motion? I do have the script. I just read that? Just read that. Okay, now is the time on the board's agenda to conduct the public hearings under the Educational Employment Relations Act regarding negotiation proposals. We will take these items in order listed on the agenda. Public items numbered 9.2, 9.3. So the public has the opportunity to express itself prior to the commencement of negotiations. Please be advised that this pertains to public hearings prior to opening of negotiations, consequently is not appropriate for, nor will the members of the Board of Education comment on any of the initial negotiation proposals. Please be aware that the Board Policy 9323 provides individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board may limit the total time for public input on each item to 30 minutes. With board consent, the president may increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation and/or individual speakers, depending on the topic and number of persons wishing to be heard. The president may take a poll of speakers for or against a particular issue and may ask additional persons to speak only if they have something new to add. Item 9.2, public hearing regarding the Torrance Unified School District initial proposal to CSEA Chapter 19 and adoption of proposal. The Board of Education is opening the public hearing of the proposal from the Torrance Unified School District to CSEA Chapter 19. Would speakers who wish to address this item please come forward and state their remarks? Okay. Are there any additional speakers? Obviously not. I now close the public hearing on item 9.2. It is recommended that the Board of Education vote to approve the district's proposal to CSEA Chapter 19. Is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, item 9.3. Public hearing regarding the CSEA Chapter 19 initial proposal. The Board of Education is opening the public hearing on the proposal from CSEA Chapter 19. Would speakers who wish to address this item please come forward and provide their remarks? Okay. I now close the public hearing on item 9.3. The Board of Education acknowledged the proposal from CSEA Chapter 19. Thank you very much. I now move on. That was relatively painless. Okay, oral communications. Being as it's only Mr. Bush, should I read this whole thing?
No.
Why don't I read the whole thing like Dr. Mann suggested? The Board of Education welcomes input from the public in order to discuss district business in an orderly manner. For the privacy and safety of speakers, and to help staff respond more directly, the board policies require that public presentations to the board comply with certain procedures, including speakers to non-agenda items may address only items that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. Time allotted for such presentations is limited to 3 minutes. Total time allotted for public input on non-agenda items is limited to 30 minutes. A speaker may not relinquish his or her time to another. When addressing the board, speakers are requested to state their name, address the president from the podium, and adhere to the applicable time limits. Complaints against employees or students will normally be heard in closed session, and the district's complaint procedure should be followed before discussion with the board. The board may remove disruptive individuals.
That'll be me.
And order the room cleared if necessary. Any person who willfully disturbs any public school meeting is guilty of a misdemeanor. Deborah. And you wish to speak on We Honor Ours. I support your conversation before you even start. Thank you.
Thank you. Deborah Tabush, Torrance Teachers Association, 1619 Cravens. Good evening, Vice President Michael Wormers, school board members, and cabinet. I'm here tonight to celebrate our own, the teachers of Torrance. One may ask, why is this important? It is important because the teachers in Torrance work endlessly to create a classroom environment that encompasses the whole student, not just in academics and Common Core, but also the student's social and emotional well-being. To celebrate this, TTA welcomed all members to join TTA leadership at a social to honor them on Wednesday, May 10th, California Day of the Teacher. Why is it important? Because the teachers and auxiliary staff at Cali Mayer, Bertlin, Magruder, North High, and South High achieved the status of Gold Ribbon School, which proves that Torrance teachers are creative, resourceful, and provide rigor to all the students during their daily interactions with them. Why is it important? Because some teachers make their union, TTA, a priority and work tirelessly to keep their teachers informed and help to solve problems that our members face on a daily basis. Whether it is a site issue, a contract violation, or working to increase morale, Casey Meyer has done just that. This year, we honored Casey Meyer from Victor Elementary as our Local Who Award at a CTA reception on May 1st. For these reasons and countless others, I would like to take this time to say thank you to all Torrance teachers for your dedication to this profession, the students of Torrance Unified, and to the Torrance Teachers Association. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion action items. Instructions to the public. Speakers wishing to address the board on agenda topics are limited to 3 minutes per topic. Total time granted for public input shall be limited to 30 minutes per topic. The board policies require that public presentation to the board comply with certain procedures, including items 2-4 listed in oral communications. 11.2, adopt a resolution of AS 14-16/17 authorizing the formation of a surplus property advisory committee 711 committee pursuant to Education Code Section 17387 E2 ETSEQ.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
11.3, approve the excused absence of board education member Terry
We
Reagan.
vote on that, don't we?
A motion?
Second.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, 11.4, approval to award RFP number 24-04.19.17, a voice over IP protocol or VoIP implementation to NIC Partners Incorporated for a new phone system district-wide. All in, motion?
So, second, first, third.
Mr. Mara.
Good evening. This is to award the implementation of a new phone system in the district to NICP, and we're requesting approval for the funding. As you know, the NEC system that's currently in the district is about 20 years plus old. It runs on the older PBX technology and has been troublesome for a couple years, if not longer. The implementation timeline for this is depending on a little bit on the AT&T circuits that we have to order. So there's about a 60-day timeline once this is approved to order the PRI circuits that we need. So that'll go into effect, while at the same time we also have to get the orders in for the new phones. The core of during the first phase is for the most part done. In the next 2 to 3 weeks, we'll have all of the voicemail converted over to the new Cisco Unity piece, away from the Alcatel piece. So that piece will be done before we go into this. So we're looking at, it would be great if we could get this done by September, but that's probably a pretty aggressive timeline. But the way it's structured, is we can run both systems in a hybrid mode and convert schools over time. Once the kickoff call is done with NICP, we'll be laying out all the implementation timeline for each of the schools, and then we'll have to decide who goes first. At this point, the only thing I do know who will go first is the district office. So we will do our departments first, and then everything else following that. So you can go a couple different ways. You do the large high schools first, get those out of the way, start with the small elementary schools. You just phase them in. At the rate, based on the experience with NICP, you could conceivably do 3 schools a week for your small schools, right? In total, we're looking at about 2,400 phones to replace. So that's getting into each of those classrooms, configuring them, and basically plugging them into the data jacks that exist now. So, any questions?
Mr. Lee?
So when somebody calls me from the district, it will not always say 310-792.
972-6500. Right, so you'll have the caller ID will represent the actual school that it's coming from. And that's where a lot of the work on the spreadsheets and the database with AT&T, that's where all that happens, because you've got to basically identify each of the source circuits for each of those sites. And then also we've got something new, which we don't have now, is E911. So that's a service wherein depending on the source of the 911 call on campus, we'll be able to narrow down the building that it came from, right? So we're working with Jorge's team at M&O and John Pearson to get all of the safety maps from each of the sites so that we have building names. Over at North, it's pretty easy. I know that place. There's G, there's H, there's I. So based on where the phone call came from, usually where the MDF or the IDF is, that's where we know where the phone is located and which building it came from. That gives the police and fire department just a little more information as to the source of 911, aside from it came from over there. So we can say North High, Building G.
I'll just appreciate being able to enter the wrong extension and not be hung up on. Because if you do that now, you get hung up on. So.
We'll know when it's you calling, though, so we have special instructions from Mr. Warmer.
That's comforting.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Are you going to replace the physical phones as well?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, and what are you going to do with all of those phones? Are they just going to throw them away, or?
They'll be surplus.
Okay.
They're not worth anything.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have now moved on to Mr. Lee's favorite section, the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve consent items 12 through 19, inclusive.
Anybody want to pull anything? Items 12 through 19.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we now have board calendar and comments from the members of the board. I have a couple SoCal Rock things that really don't warrant agenda, but I want to get a kind of a consensus from my colleagues. Dr. Mann and I have discussed something SoCal Rock wants to do, and they would like to begin to charge us for an enrollment, and if a kid drops out after 1 week, we get charged $100. And Dr. Mann and I both feel that's excessive. We'd like to see it be $25 and then a 2-week window, not a 1-week window. And if I get kind of a nodding consensus from the board, I'll take that back to them tomorrow. And then the second thing I want to take to them tomorrow is we have 2 at-large members, and I'm not completely sure why we have at-large members, because they don't represent any of the JPAs. And I'm going to get shot out of the saddle, but I'm going to make a suggestion that we eliminate the at-large positions as voting members. I've got nothing with their problem with them being there, but I don't believe they should be voting members. So again, if I have kind of a consensus out of my colleagues, that's what I'll take to the SoCal Rock board. So.
In your bylaws or anything, there's nothing about?
Not in the JPA that I was able to read. I need to dive into it a little bit harder, but...
Positive you will.
And I will. I'll be prepared. But we need to streamline what SoCal Rock's doing. We need to improve its efficiency. We'll never aspire to Dr. Delio's level, but I think we should be at least targeting that. So that's what I'm going to take to them tomorrow, if anybody has any questions. And we got a workshop tomorrow at 2, for God's sakes, on how to improve our profitability. That'll be an interesting experience.
Oh, good. I have no problem with that.
Okay. All right. Any other comments from the board members?
I would like to make one.
Please.
As we're sitting here, I just realized that, we've notified the Little Leagues and the softballs that, we possibly could be doing something with Hamilton School. But there could be an off chance that someone lives on that street that backs up to the school that we probably haven't said anything to.
We have not.
And we probably at least should send them a note saying that we're going through the process, want to be open, you have any questions, whatever it may be, probably just good PR at this point. Maybe the homes that, that we can show them the preliminary plans or whatever we got laying around, but just so they aren't shocked one day that something's going on, it might be a good idea to reach out to them. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, I have one thing that I would like Dr. Crumpy, I'll lob this in your general direction. You're in charge of education. I've seen student ID cards that have suicide helpline phone numbers, pregnancy helpline phone numbers, LGBT helpline phone numbers on the back of the student ID card. So on the back of our student ID cards, we have a bell schedule. the first week, the kids pretty much got the bell schedule figured out. So can I make a suggestion that we look into that, whether that's a huge cost increase or any
No.
reason we can't? Or-
No, in fact, we've already, I think at the board members' suggestion, have made that change for next year, and so we're working with Nancy Gutierrez, one of our coordinators downstairs in the Family Enrollment Center, is putting together a uniform list, so it'll be similar for each high school. Counselors are then vetting it, and Life Touch is putting it on the back of all ID cards for the fall.
Very good. That's
great.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you very much. I will take, unless there's any other comments, I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Aye. Oh, I'm sorry. I need to make an adjournment in memoriam of North High student Sayana King, who recently passed away. So, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.